What's up? Thank you again for visiting the channel for this upcoming game preview of Oregon and Washington. If this is your first time visiting this channel and you want to hear a different take of college football from an analytical perspective, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and select all so you don't miss another video. Also, like the video and share the video. It does help this channel grow. And give me your score prediction in the comment section below, even if you agree or disagree with my score prediction. So with that being said, y'all know why you're here. Huge playoff implications, top 10 matchup, rivals. Oof. It is just spicy watching you guys go at each other, man, online. I love it. I'm just telling you right now, I'm here for the pettiness. So without further ado, let's start off this channel like we always do with any preview, the tail of the tape of advanced metrics. So as we review the tail of the tape of advanced metrics, obviously this is a top 10 matchup in every major category of the advanced numbers. F plus, my overall power rating, and FEI, they both see that all three of these see these as a top 10 matchup between Washington and Oregon. So definitely pack a lunch because this is going to be a heck of a matchup. The only advantages that we can see here when we are stripping it down between offense and defense is that both offenses has an advantage over the opposing defenses. In reviewing Washington's last game against Oregon, we did notice that there were some deficiencies in Washington's game, especially on the defensive end. Arizona had tremendous success here. The Huskies didn't do a good job of affecting Arizona as well on defense, so to speak. The Washington offense, could score whenever they got ready to. As we saw within the first through the third quarter, their success rate did take a big dip in the fourth quarter. Arizona definitely started to pick it up. I think the Huskies started off fast like they always do typically, and it seemed like they were going to overwhelm Arizona in this game. But the Wildcats, they are definitely an improving team under Jet Fish. This was definitely a game that Washington was favored to win, heavily. I think I had them as a 21-point favorite in this game, supposedly covering the Vegas spread. It was the one time that my model actually predicted Washington to cover the spread, and they actually failed to do so. So not much of a surprise. I had a feeling it would happen, unfortunately. But if this is Washington's, sloppy game of the season, this, could probably count for that. Only a 75% post-game win expectancy, which is the lowest considering Washington was in the high 90s in their other games. Oregon took care of business in their game against Stanford a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't start off like that as well. Oregon started off the game very, very slow, 33% first quarter success rate as opposed to Stanford's 46%. And it seemed once that second quarter started, they flipped the switch and they started playing the way that, we were used to seeing Oregon play, as they pretty much dominated every team that they've ran up against, with the exception of Texas Tech on the road when they really struggled against the Red Raiders in that game. Typical of Oregon, 65% success rate in that game against Stanford. Late down EPA pretty much has been a staple of their program this year, where they've just been dominating on late downs. Sack rate, 0% sack rate. Unfortunately for Stanford, they just could not get to Bo Nix. And for Oregon side, 17% sack rate as well against the Stanford Cardinals. So this has just been the Oregon has just been a really good team this year. They have just been playing complementary football, so to speak, on both sides of the ball. They finish drives. They generate scoring opportunities. They have definitely been playing some good ball this year for sure. So I wanted to give a better visualization on these here. So when Washington has the ball, green is obviously good. Red is obviously bad. And when we're talking about the ranking between the two teams on their respective sides of the ball, offense versus defense, any team that has a rank greater than 10 over the other, it is considered an advantage. If not, if it's between that number, then it's considered a push. So as we can see here, obvious when we're talking about EPA. Washington is number one in the country. When you adjust based on the quality of opponent, they're number one in adjusted EPA on offense, and also number one in offensive success rate as well. EPA pass per game, I tend to do pass per game relative to how often you are passing and how often you are running. It doesn't make any sense for me to go by EPA per play, because if I were to do that, then the service academy schools with the exception of Army, who has now decided to go with a nice little spread attack here, but the flex bone offenses who pass the ball maybe a couple of times a game, and they have a high EPA per play because they are generally chunk plays. So instead, I went with a different approach based on how often a team is running and throwing based on their run pass ratio, and then multiply that and try to get a per game through 60 minutes. So as we can see here, Washington with their EPA pass offense per game, number one in the country. Michael Penix Jr., he has been a stud this season. He is definitely taken over that offense. This Washington offense is as legit as they come. First in early downs, first in late down offense, 12th in offensive explosiveness. It's very difficult to find a weakness in this particular offense. The only weaknesses I think you can find here is offensive stuff rate. Washington 61st in the country. But I want to look at the game within the game, something to kind of keep an eye on, especially if you're watching this game as a Washington fan on offense, and if you're an Oregon fans on defense. One of the things that you want to look at is late down EPA on offense. Washington obviously number one, but Oregon is 15th in late down EPA defense. So this is where Washington has a pretty big advantage on late downs. Late down is considered third down or fourth down. This is a game. This is basically going to be the game within the game. If Oregon can get some stops on third down, and obviously on fourth down, if Washington decides to take a chance and go for it, this can definitely be a part. This is going to be one of those things that can definitely take hold and change the outcome of the game in here. EPA rush offense per game. Washington 37th. In the country, Oregon 52nd in rush defense. So they don't really see a lot of rushes come their way. Oregon does. Their defense actually sees a 60-40 pass to run ratio, which is why their pass defense per game, fourth in the country, is actually pretty darn solid here. Another item that I think you want to look at also is offensive scoring rate. Scoring rate is the percentage of possessions that you get that is within scoring territory. Scoring territory is inside the opponent's 40-yard line. Washington, 9th in the country. Oregon, 6th in defensive scoring rate. So Oregon doesn't really allow a lot of scoring opportunities, and they don't really allow a lot of points per opportunity. With Oregon's defense, you're barely averaging a field goal if you are going up against that defense. Washington, one of the best teams in the country at 5.29 points per scoring opportunity, So Washington is not kicking field goals. They're trying to score touchdowns here. So anytime that you are inside the opponent's scoring territory, if you're settling for a field goal, that is considered a failed drive. So when Oregon has the ball, there's a lot of red. I wouldn't say a lot of red, but there is red within the within the three categories on Washington's side here. Defensive sack rate, defensive stuff rate, and defensive line yards. Washington is at the near bottom on defense in those three metrics. Oregon is in the top 10 in two of those, in his sack rate and offensive line yards. If you saw in the advanced box score of Oregon and Washington's past games, Oregon did not allow a sack against Bo Nix, 0% sack rate. And Washington, they didn't really get to the quarterback in their last game as well. So, and it kind of pales into what I'm looking at here. Oregon 10th in the country in offensive sack rate. Washington 123rd in the country. So they are getting to the quarterback 3.4% of their opponent's dropbacks. And if you're playing against a team like Oregon, Oregon tries to stay a little bit balanced. They are like a 55-45 pass to run split. Oregon tries to stay as balanced as they can. They can pretty much beat you whether running or passing in this game here. One of the items that I think that we should look at here is, can Washington affect the quarterback? If they are allowing Bo Nix time to check down and look at his progressions and hit his first, second, or third receiver, then Washington is going to be in a world of trouble here. So you just can't sit back and let Bo Nix have time. One of the things that I didn't notice, though, Washington's defense in EPA pass defense per game, 19th, and Oregon's pass offense is 18th. So there's a push there. But Washington is going to have to win some battles here, especially in the running game, to kind of slow Oregon down a little bit here and also generate some negative plays here if that defense is going to have some success. So the computer model in this game has Washington not as the favorite, surprisingly. Oregon is actually favored to win this game by 1 to the score of 34-33. And as soon as I mention the computer model score, I think everyone is going to be fixated on what the score is. Especially if you're an Oregon fan, you're probably going to look for 34-33. But don't look for 34-33. Look for, can Washington win on late downs? Can Oregon stop Washington on late downs? Who's going to win the battle of the scoring rate between Washington and Oregon? It's the defense. Can Oregon limit Washington's scoring opportunities? And if they do get into a scoring opportunity, can they limit them to just a field goal, so to speak? And if we're talking about when Oregon has the ball, are they going to be effective running the football at Washington's defensive line? And also, can Washington generate negative plays and keep Oregon off balance as well? So, look for those things, the game within the game. I wouldn't necessarily look for 34-33, but to each his own. That's totally up to you. So just trying to give you guys a heads up. So I have gone back and forth picking this game. Both teams are coming off a bye. Washington is a passing team, and generally passing teams coming off a bye, it usually takes about a quarter and a half for them to, kind of get themselves reacclimated, trying to get themselves back in a groove. So it's a tough game for me to pick. I think Washington's gonna struggle a little bit out the gate just based off of their tendencies and how they play. Oregon, how are they going to be able to handle an offense that is prolific like Washington? This isn't Colorado. Colorado can't play any defense, couldn't stop a nosebleed. Washington, they're not bad. They're not Colorado bad defensively, but they can generate some stops. But there are some warts on that defensive side that Oregon can exploit. Oregon's got a lot to play for. They're wanting revenge from last year, where they went for it on fourth down, didn't quite get it. Then Washington goes right back down. Goes down the field, short field, kick a field goal, 4 plays, 8 yards, ball game. So I think that loss is definitely in the minds of some of the Oregon players that came back for this year. Oh boy, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with a score of 38-34. And in rival games like this, where the home team is favored by Vegas, I generally go with the home team. Even though the model is hitting straight up at 80%, Oregon is favored by the model. So Oregon fans, you got a lot going for you. The model is hitting at 80% straight up. I'm going against the model, and I'm going to be honest with you, it has not gone well for me this year every time I have gone against the model. But the way I see it, I got a 20% chance of actually getting it right. So you say there's a chance? Yes, there is a chance here. So I'm going to go with my little bitty 20% shot at going against the model here. So yep, I got the Huskies pulling this out, 38-34, and that is going to be it for this game preview. So let me know what your thoughts are in this game in the comment section below. Even if you agree or disagree with my score prediction, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you get a chance, please give the video a like. Also share the video, and I will catch you on the next preview. Thank you again, and have a great week.